Well, that didn't help because I really don't know when I started. So I'll just have to break this up in pieces. So it's really essential that we do a couple things. The first thing is I'm going to give an image. I'll put it in the more button. You can take that photo, which will be one of my photos that I've taken, and this one is going to be of a winter scene, and you're basically going to just break it down. Um, there's a couple of things I want to talk about with things that you might want to get or kind of consider first when you're learning to paint. First of all, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get painting supplies, okay? There's a couple different things I would suggest. Now, if you're new to painting, if you want to paint in oils and you're in your house, I would suggest don't get regular oils. Get what is called water mixable or water miscible oil paint. You can buy Cobra, which is a very fine quality, or there's many companies that make it. But if you want to buy a really inexpensive little set that's going to last you for a really long time, there's a brand called Lukas that you can get on Jerry's Artarama that has a wonderful, it's got a lot of pigment. It's really good quality. You're not going to lose quality, but it's very inexpensive. It is by far the cheapest version. And if you're learning, it's going to be good enough so that you can, it's not going to be, it's professional level, but it's just, there are paints that are a little bit more pigmented or a little bit, different consistencies that people prefer, but it's a very good quality paint. So it's not going to get in the way of your learning. It's actually going to be good enough so that you can use it professionally if you decide you fall in love with it. But even if you decide to graduate to more expensive versions of those colors and other things because you like the consistency better, or you feel for whatever reason people just do fall in love with other things, it's still in that same level of professional quality paint so that you can learn. And it's not sometimes when you get stuff that's so cheap and crappy, it actually hinders your ability to make something look good, and it's becomes a problem in itself. And if you're a really, really great painter, you can work with stuff that's really kind of low grade or bad, and it has you can kind of work around it. But if you're learning, you shouldn't use the worst, crappiest quality thing. It's not a good idea. And even if you're a professional, most professionals don't even bother. It's just a waste. So, if you want to do oil paint, that I'm going to put a link to Jerry's below too, so you can find Lukas brand Berlin is what it's called. It's water mixable oil paint. They also make acrylic paint. Now, I would suggest if you're going to do acrylic paint, you do the Jerry's brand Soho, which is a very inexpensive, very high quality acrylic paint. They don't have a water mixable oil paint that's Soho. They're the brand that they produce. They don't have that. So that's why Lukas is maybe kind of related to them. I don't know, but they don't have the Soho brand. There isn't that equivalency. You can buy panels there. And here's what I would also suggest. Michael's has deals where they'll have a pack of like 8x10 or 5x7 little framed canvases for, like the small ones. I think, you can get for 8x10s, you can get like 10 of them for 10, it used to be $10. Now it's maybe like $12. Or you can get some on Jerry's on sale often for at the most $1 a pop. Now if you don't have money and you really want to save money and you don't want to spend money, you can also use paper. You can recycle or use, as you're learning, you can just take old boxes or use cardboard and paint on that. I mean, you could put a little gesso down or white acrylic and let it dry and then paint on that. Or not use any acrylic. You can do whatever you want, really. That's the beauty of it. And if you really like the painting that you make on paper, try to use a paper that's thick because you don't want it seeping through. So there's an Arches brand that is for oil. You can also use water, like any kind of thick paper that's made for any kind of mixable sort of paint. So, for example, there's paper that's will receive gouache or acrylic, and you can use that for oil too, even if it's not archival quality. It's still fine. You're learning. It doesn't matter. Archival quality means it's going to last for 100 years. You know, Jackson Pollock used house paint, and it was in the 80s was falling off and all over the museum in Los Angeles, and they were having to glue it on like every 5 seconds. So if your work becomes really, really important, they'll find a way to protect it and make it archival. So you don't have to worry about that when you're learning so much. Okay. So don't let that stop you from painting. Just whatever you can find that works. The other thing is there's hot press paper that you can buy really cheap versions from, I think, Fabriano. And the other thing I would suggest is Temu. Temu has really great hog hair bristle brushes that you can buy like 10 of them for like $5 or 5 of them for $5. And those are really good for oil painting. You can buy really great acrylic brushes for super cheap. So you can buy probably all the brushes you need to start with that are good quality. They're professional quality, really. I really can't tell the difference. I buy those, and I also have bought like really expensive brushes, and there's not much difference, to be honest with you. Sometimes there is, but most of the time there isn't really. You could buy some goat hair brushes, some badger brushes, some hog hair brushes, bristle brushes, and these are different things to try. And they're cheap enough on Temu where you just buy a pack of different ones and try them out and see what works. And to start with, I would buy just some simple acrylic brushes because they lay on paint easily. And later, as you get more expressive and you become more interested in texture and things like that, hog hair bristles are great. There you can also buy inexpensive thick papers, like 50 pieces for, a few bucks or $1. And they have amazing watercolor paper that is of the same quality as Arches, which is really high quality watercolor paper there for a quarter of the price, as well as good watercolor. And they do have oil paint there too, regular oil paint. But my suggestion with water mixables is you don't have to use turpentine. You can use water. And here's the kicker: Dawn to wash your brushes out. So you can wash your brushes out with Dawn. Don't use other types. This is particularly formulated to sort of dissolve oil, and Dawn works like a charm. And you won't have to use turpentine or anything. You use water, and then by yourself with your Lukas oils, water mixable oils, the Berlin ones, buy a little water mixable linseed oil and use that to water down your oils if you want to make it a little bit thinner. That's to start. Now, if you want to go the acrylic route, which is much faster drying, and there's an advantage to learning in that way as well. You can use the Soho brand. You don't need to buy any medium to start. Just use regular water. You also would use the Dawn to clean your brushes, and you're good to go. You can buy a little set of really nice basic set of colors for like $15. An acrylic, really nice quality on Jerry's, or you can buy a really nice set of water mixable oils from Berlin for like $30 or something, or $25. And sometimes they have it on sale for less. So you're going to basically just need to start. If you really want to be minimalistic, you really just need a red, you really need a white, you really need a blue and a yellow, and you can mix all the other colors, including black. I would say starting out, it might be also good to add in a black so that you just have those basic colors and you can learn to mix everything else. And you don't need more. And you can just start with a very inexpensive palette and that. If you want to keep it also simple, you can get a paper palette. where you can just, your cleanup is just throwing it in the garbage. And, those are inexpensive and easy way to start as well. So keep it simple. Work small in the beginning. Don't do a painting. My husband learned a lot, and I watched him because, I'd always work kind of big. And that's just kind of my personality. But he used to, he would make little 4x6, 5x7 paintings. Now he's graduated to bigger paintings of like 8x10 now, and 6x6s and 8x8s and stuff like that. But he really works 5x7, 6x6 really most of the time. And he's made hundreds of paintings. And the thing about the reason why you want to keep it small when you're starting out is not just because it's less expensive, you use less paint, but you learn so much about composition. If you do 100 paintings, little paintings in a year, you're going to go so much further. You're going to develop so much faster than if you struggle with one painting that's like this size that I have behind me, which is huge, right? I've been painting for over 40 years. For me, it doesn't matter that much if I use it just will take a little bit longer to paint, to paint a big painting than it takes to paint a smaller one. A small painting can be done for me in half an hour, depending on the painting. Maybe 2 hours if it's really complicated or if I'm really struggling with it. But a bigger painting like this painting I made of my, I'm going to go grab it. I'll show you guys.